it was so easy to have an effect, because the majority of the writers and artists who come before us had never thought of challenging any of these assumptions regarding the superhero genre. They had thought that perhaps at best it might be a cynical joke about superheroes, but yes, there is that quality in stuff like Watchmen. There is that element of, wouldn't these characters be a joke if they were in the real world? But there's also a poignance to the characters. Wouldn't these characters be somehow kind of sad and touching in the real world? And there's no reason why we can't exploit all of these things. When you look at these familiar characters from a new perspective, you can suddenly see things that have actually been true about the characters right from their very inception in the late 30s. But nobody had applied a political interpretation to them or a sexual interpretation. Well, what Watchmen became was entirely a meditation about power. We were thinking about how each of these characters, to some degree, represented different sorts of power. We had the global situation unwinding and unfolding behind them, where you'd got different sorts of superpowers at odds with each other. An escalating situation in Afghanistan, and various other bits of bad world news that suggest that the nuclear doomsday clock is getting closer to the midnight mark. To some degree, if you're talking about superheroes, it's very likely to become a meditation upon power. You find that, yes, superheroes in the real world are kind of funny. They're also kind of scary, because actually a person dressing in a mask and going around beating up criminals is a vigilante psychopath. That's what Batman is, in essence. And we came up with the character of Rorschach as a way of exploring what that Batman-type driven, vengeance-fueled vigilante would be like in the real world. And the short answer is a nutcase. I mean, it wasn't until halfway through that we realised that Rorschach would not survive the book. It just became obvious. We realised that this was a character, if ever there was a character, who'd got a king-size death wish. He was in pain, psychological pain, every moment of his life, and he wanted out of it, but with honour, in whatever his own twisted standards of honour might have been.
Rorschach's Journal, October 16th, 1985. 42nd Street women's breasts draped across every billboard, every display, littering the sidewalk. Was offered Swedish love and French love, but not American love. American love, like Coke in green glass bottles, they don't make it anymore. Thought about Moloch's story on Way to Cemetery. Could all be lies? Could all be part of revenge scheme planned during his decade behind bars? But if true, then what? Puzzling reference to an island, also to Dr. Manhattan. Might he be at risk in some way? So many questions. Never mind. Answer soon. Nothing is insoluble. Nothing is hopeless. Not while there's life.